So is there anyone in your life that you just can't stand? Well, the other question is, do you love them? I mean, even those that you can't stand? Can you? Could you? Well, Jesus said, love your enemies. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew 5:44 through 45, and also Luke 6:27 and 28. And you can find a different command of Jesus every weekday at our Bible plan at bible.today.church. Matthew 5:44 and 45 says, "But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike." Now, sometimes we kind of ask ourselves, but do you know how bad those people are? And that's a very natural response. We all have someone or some group of people we just don't like, or someone who has done us wrong. And so sometimes we don't like them for good reason, but we're told to love them, to do good, to pray for them. Those people that did us wrong, is our response to pray for them, to love them? That person? Really? I mean, don't you know how bad they are? But Jesus uses the Greek word agape here. It's the highest form of love. How in the world can we agape, or give the God kind of love, to those that oppose us, to our enemies? How in the world can we really do this? Well, what is the opposite of love? Well, the opposite of love is hate, which leads to anger, judgment, and condemnation, even disgust. Have you ever felt any of that for an enemy? And I can hear it now. This excuse goes out a lot. Well, Jesus got angry. He turned over the tables in the temple and drove them out with a whip. Yeah, but he also spent 3 years in those same kinds of situations, really teaching and loving his enemies. And can we say that we have righteous indignation when we're not really living like Jesus? I mean, have you raised the dead? Have you walked on water? The whole turning over to the tables in the temple is an excuse many times for us just to hang on to our own bitterness and judgment. Because anger is easy, but Jesus never promised easy. If we use Jesus as an excuse to justify our anger, we need higher standards. Yes, Jesus got angry, but he was also God in the flesh. He walked on water. He raised the dead. He opened blind eyes. Do those things and then talk to me about your righteous anger. Jesus died for the sins of the world too. And he prayed on the cross, "Father, forgive those who actually crucified him." And we're supposed to have that same mindset, that same sense of humility. Jesus died for the sins of the world, but we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to take up our cross and deny ourselves, to die to self, because our own anger accomplishes nothing. In fact, James talks about this in James 1:20. He says, human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires. If human anger doesn't produce what God wants, then what does? Well, it's obedience. So if Jesus said we should do it, that's not an option. It's our job. In order to really love our enemies, we have to, believe it or not, actually love them. And it starts with denying ourselves and denying our own emotions, even letting anger go. And anger seems to be everywhere in our culture. We're coming up on an election time period, and anger is everywhere. But disciples of Jesus live by a higher standard, by rules of a heavenly kingdom. And if we only love who we like, if we only pray for and do good for those that we like or those that are like us, if we only bless who we like, then we aren't like Jesus at all. We're just like everybody else. And how can you tell a true Jesus follower? Well, they obey what Jesus said. And Jesus said, love your enemies. Be different. Let go of anger and judgment of others. If we should be angry and disgusted at anything, it should be our own sin, our own faults and failures. And Jesus died for us anyway, in spite of our weakness, in spite of our sin. Shouldn't we live for him and love like he said to love? Who can I love today who isn't on my side? Who can I pray for today who isn't on my side? Who can I do good for that isn't on my side? Jesus said, love your enemies. How can we put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really means a lot to me. If you like it, if you share it, if you comment, I really appreciate you. Thank you, Tina and Amber, for checking in today. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.